We bought a new field and harvested the sunflowers. The work on the field, though, is not done. And we've also got a lot more money to make coming up in this episode. So try to keep up as we fatten the bank account and purchase another production building. I've converted the tiny trailer back to a flatbed because we've got a lot of palleted goods to load and sell when the price is at its best coming up here next month in January. Before the day gets completely gone, we will do one more farm chore, and that's the goat watering. Yes, an all too familiar sight now, us dipping our tanker into the crisp, natural spring water trickling through our property. I'm sure the goats love the fresh water, and the mushroom house always gets what's left over. But now we've come to the end of December and the end of the year. Operating costs and loans have brought us to a negative bank account. All that's going to change, though, as we go through another round of winter selling. And the first on the agenda is our straw bales. We forgot about the straw last year, so this time we've got 2 years of barley straw to load and more straw up by the new field from last year's oat harvest. We'll sell everything, and in a stroke of good luck, the best price is being given at the nearby farmer's market. Let's get these unloaded and try not to create a disaster in the process. We've learned what not to do, and with our account up to over $13,000 already, I'll give myself a little forgiveness. We'll keep the auto stacker going and work next on the silage bales. Not all the individual bales inside of the roll are all done on this most recently wrapped bit, so what we'll do is load up the other sausage of bales. These are what we harvested last summer from our grass cover crop we regularly rotate out with the barley. Just to get a full load, we'll partially unwrap a few of the finished bales off of the end and get these few loaded. By the time we get back from selling, everything should be done. These are the last of the silage bales, and it's hard to believe we went from a negative 200 in the account to over 63,000, just like that. Not every month is a big revenue month. Some months we make nothing. But winter is a notorious time for best prices, so let's keep it going. We've got a few more pallets of goat milk to sell, and despite the betrayal I had from the pitiful dairy, we'll take the partial pallets from 2 of our 3 pastures and keep it fed with milk. It produces so slowly, just these partial pallets will probably be enough to keep it working all year. The other pallets we'll scoop up together and load onto the trailer, along with whatever we have down at the other pasture. We've been letting our goats live off the meadow grass, but now that it's winter, we'll be sure they're cared for and load some of our baled grass into the troughs. I'm sure that'll carry them over till spring. The new goat barn will get filled with grass as well, and we'll take the 4 full pallets and 1 partial pallet to the big dairy down in town. It may not seem like much, but the full pallets are worth around $3,000 each. So this load will easily put us over $75,000 in the account. Let's go see. $76.5. Wonderful. And the bonanza of selling isn't over. We don't talk much about the mushroom house, but it quietly turns out around 13,000 or more a year in mushrooms. And as a starter production building for a new farm, this is a good one. It sips water, has a very low monthly operating cost, and gives us an annual boost to the income. Let's get these pallets loaded and sold and check the bank account for January. We sold a lot of products September to November to buy the new field, so this has been very impressive. A very nicely stacked trailer. It might be the best stack of mushrooms so far in the series. We'll take them over to the small farmer's kiosk and sell them for a nice 20% extra bonus. A little over 13,000, and we have a bank account sitting at 90,000. Just unbelievable. Enough with the money making though. Now it's time to spend some and take care of our brand new field. It needs lime and plowing, and also has weeds, but the plowing will remedy that all by itself. We'll take care of the lime first and rent the spreader, and I'll go with the slightly larger capacity model for a tiny bit of extra rental, and purchase 5 bags of lime. That'll all fit in the spreader. While I'm at the store, I'll also rent a plow. This new field is our largest by far, almost double the size of the largest field we had before. So we'll get the larger plow and take everything back at once. First, we'll get the spreader attached and all filled with lime. Lime does go fairly quickly, and it's a big field, so I might be cutting it a little close with these 5 bags, but I think it'll do. What I didn't realize is that this plow is so long, it has an extra support wheel, and that is clearly going to cause us problems. We'll have to leave the plow here and just come back for it later. It was probably a little too good to be true to take them back together. Okay, let's get liming and improve the field. That was pretty quick, and we have about a half a bag left over. Let's throw that out down by the shed so we don't lose it when we return the spreader, and I'll be extra nice and go return the spreader back at the store. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Now for the plow. This should tow pretty easily, and it's hard not to notice all the detail they put into every piece of equipment. The plow looks long enough to make a big swath on the field, and it's more than the last one we used, but it's still fairly modest. And plowing is just one of those jobs that requires a bit of work. But I like plowing, so let's get after it. Alright, this plow with the support wheel took some getting used to, and I could tell it was really dragging down on the tractor and taking every bit of horsepower the Deutz-Fahr had to keep it moving at top speed. Which is why I made the perfect choice. We maximized the width of the plow with the power of the tractor. Let's check the field. The need for plowing is all cleared, and the only things we have left to take care of are the stones left behind by the plow and a full fertilization of the field. We'll return that plow and take a break from the field work and do something completely different.
And now for something completely different.
We're gonna buy a small production building. And what we're going to buy is a grain mill to turn the oats we harvested last season into flour. Now there's a very specific reason I picked oats in this small mill. Of the grain crops it can process, oats produces the highest number of pallets per year and utilizes the smallest amount of grain. It will do wheat, barley, rice, and even sorghum, but after some calculations, oats should do really good in this small facility. I've placed it here not too far from the silo, so it should be very easy to move our oats from the silo over to the mill and keep it fed. Let's put our first load of oats into the mill and let it start making those beautiful pallets right away. The oats aren't doing us any good just sitting in the silo. Let's keep filling and move all the oats. Okay, we ran into a major issue. After a couple more loads, I noticed the amount of oats in the silo wasn't going down. And when I checked the actual grain mill, somehow it had like 180,000 liters of oats, which is impossible considering I only harvested about 19,000 total. This turned out to be kind of a bug. After some research, it seems that if you put a production building too close to a silo, it winds up sharing the inventories in some way where it creates this kind of endless cycle of refilling and self-supply. For a challenge playthrough like this one, that sort of unlimited production is a killer for the series. Let me try to fix it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so what I did was sell the grain mill we had and built a new one a good bit farther away. We only got half the money back from the original grain mill, so I just manually added the difference, which was $18,000, back to the account. The amount of oats in the silo never changed the whole time. It started out at about 19,000, and after the debacle, it still had about 19,000. So I didn't have to do anything there. For the actual grain mill, any oats I put into the first one just disappeared, and we caught it early enough before it produced any pallets. So anything there just didn't happen. Essentially, we fixed the problem and put ourselves right back to where we were. No harm, no foul, and the series is saved. But now we know, don't put your production buildings too close to the silos. In a way, I understand it because you can place silo extensions next to your original silo to increase the capacity, and they'll share a single inventory. So I assume something in that ability is what causes this problem. Okay, there we go. The last of the oats is loaded in, and this time, I'm not seeing any strangeness going on with the inventory. We can let our brand new grain mill start churning out those pallets and making us money in the next episode. We'll need to get back up to the new field and get it ready for planting in March, which is only 2 months away. See you next time on the farm.